Some things on the internet are hidden for a reason. When Daniel wanted to give his daughter an unforgettable birthday, he wasn't looking for anything dangerous. He was searching for something authentic, a performer from a forgotten era. But when ordinary websites failed him, he entered the darkest corners of the internet and found a mysterious clown with no name, no history, and no explanation. What arrived at his home wasn't a normal entertainer. It was something that felt like it had been waiting for an invitation. Because some things we find in the shadows are better left there. This is 9 Lives of Fear.
As a parent raising a child in the mid-2020s, you know that particular hollow feeling that comes from modern children's entertainment. Everything is sanitized, corporate approved, wrapped in bubble-safe packaging. Book a clown online and you don't get whimsy, you get a cheerful college student in a polyester suit with a laminated certificate. My daughter Lena was turning 7. She never cared for balloon animals or rainbow wigs. She loved old carnivals, the kind with faded silks, dusty stages, and performers who looked carved out of mystery. She wanted something authentic. I'm Daniel, a media ecology professor, and my mistake was believing that someone's technical skill was the same thing as their judgment. When the mainstream booking sites couldn't give me what I wanted, I went further into forums, onion links, encrypted spaces, the parts of the internet that aren't built for casual visitors. Eventually, I found a thread titled Authentic Performance Uncensored Onion. It led to a minimalist site called Red Room Circus, black background, red ASCII text, no ads, no stock photos of smiling performers, just the words theater experience all the way. No warnings, no profiles, no bios, payment in Monero only. I told myself it was some strange underground art collective. Without hesitating, I entered my address, described the venue, and submitted the request. The page flickered once and went dark. No confirmation, no invoice, just silence. The booking was for 2 p.m. At 10 that morning, I was in the kitchen when I looked out the window and stopped breathing. A figure was already standing at the far end of our driveway. Marisol, my wife, asked,
"Is that the caterer?"
"No," I said, "I think that's the performer." He wore a costume of aged linen and yellowed silk, nothing bright, nothing playful. Worn, narrow boots, he stood with an eerie stillness. When I went out to meet him, he didn't speak, didn't wave, didn't blink. He only looked past me at the house, the windows, the porch, the roofline, as if he were memorizing its layout. "Sir, you're early," I said. "We haven't finished setting up." No reply, just that frozen posture. There was nothing overtly threatening about it. He simply watched the house the way a performer studies a stage before the curtain rises. Then, without a word, he walked past me and into the house. The moment his foot crossed the threshold, everything on our smart home system died at once. The TVs and monitors flickered, the Wi-Fi dropped, the lights dimmed. It felt less like a malfunction and more like the house had gone still and started holding its breath.
"Daniel, what's wrong with the house?"
Marisol called from the kitchen. "I don't know," I said. "Stay with Lena." The figure climbed the stairs without hurrying. At each landing, he paused in front of a room, the master bedroom, the closet, the hallway, as if a director were blocking out a stage. In front of Lena's door, he stopped but didn't go in. He looked at the door, then turned to face me and raised his palms. Painted across them in dark grease paint was 2:00, the start time. He had no intention of leaving before it. For the next 4 hours, he didn't move from that spot in the hallway. Not to sit, not to eat, not to check a phone he didn't seem to own. Marisol and I took turns glancing up the stairs every few minutes, half expecting him to have vanished. He never did. He simply stood there, palms lowered now, watching the door. At 2 p.m., the house went completely quiet, the kind of silence that makes you feel like the whole world outside has paused to listen. We ended up crowded together on the couch, closer than we'd ever have chosen to sit under normal circumstances. The performer stepped into the middle of the room and began. There was no violence in it, nothing dangerous. It was, on the surface, a perfectly safe performance to watch, and yet it was unlike anything I'd seen. His movements were precise and impossibly fast, in a style I didn't recognize and doubted was still taught anywhere. Nothing about it was realistic, but every gesture was so deliberate it read like language. Underneath it all was a kind of weight, an emotion I couldn't name. When he mimed lifting objects that weren't there, we heard sounds anyway, a soft rustle of cloth, a faint clink of metal coming from directions we couldn't place, with nothing in his hands to explain them. He mimed climbing a rope that didn't exist, and when he reached toward the ceiling itself seemed to answer his steps. Lena didn't scream, she didn't cry. She watched, wide-eyed, gripping her mother's arm. Eventually the performer spoke for the first time, not loudly, not unkindly. His voice was low and quiet in a way that seemed to come from everywhere in the room at once, not from him specifically. "We paid," I said. He tilted his head slightly, as if I'd missed the point entirely.
Payment brings the performer.
He said.
The performance continues when the audience shows they understand it was good.
He wasn't asking for more money. He wasn't asking for anything physical. He wanted appreciation, the kind that would have meant something to a carnival performer 100 years ago. So we applauded, hesitant at first, then louder, more certain. He bowed a long, fluid, old-fashioned bow, and the lights flickered back on. The Wi-Fi reconnected. The house exhaled, and slowly we felt like we'd been let back into the world. It took longer for the furnace to catch up. He walked to the front door, paused there for a moment, and gave a small, courtly nod, the kind I remembered seeing once from a stage actor at the close of a play's most affecting scene. Then he left. Nothing physically harmful happened that day, but something in the house had shifted. Lena went quiet afterward, not frightened, just thoughtful. She started drawing carnival figures in a style that was entirely her own, fixated on the idea of a performer's devotion to their craft. As for me, I scared myself with how close I'd come to losing perspective over my own fascination with Red Room Circus. I never found the site again. The onion link was gone. There was no record of the payment anywhere in my accounts. It might as well have been something that happened to someone else once and never again. I've spent months since then looking into other cases, families who found authentic performers through hidden corners of the internet the same way I did. None of them describe violence. None of them describe danger. What they describe every time is something deeply captivating that never quite leaves them. Something that makes everything afterward feel slightly different. If you ever find yourself thinking that only the authentic thing will do, I'm asking you not to. Book the smiling college student in the polyester suit, rent the bubble machine, laugh at the corny jokes. Because I promise you, some performances, even the ones that leave no visible mark, don't stop happening after the curtain falls.
Daniel's story is unsettling because nothing truly terrible happened, and yet something about that night never left him. Sometimes the things we search for, the rare, the forgotten, the impossible, come with a price we don't expect. The internet can open doors to endless possibilities, but not every door should be opened. Because some performances end when the curtain falls, and others follow you home. This has been another story from 9 Lives of Fear. Stay curious, but remember, some mysteries are meant to remain in the dark. You've survived another tale from 9 Lives of Fear, but don't get comfortable. If the shadows whispered to you tonight, hit like before they whisper again. Share this video with someone who thinks they're brave. Let's see how long their courage lasts. And subscribe, because around here, every click feeds the darkness, and the darkness remembers. Where the shadows linger long after the story ends. Stay scared.